Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut, and in this video I'm going to share with you my general hopes and feelings about the future titles coming out from Bethesda after Fallout 4. So, to begin with, the game in the background, by the way, is Fallout New Vegas with 69 mods. Yeah, go ahead, make the rude joke, have a laugh, go ahead. I won't mind. And I'm doing the Zion Trail quest mod, so that's what you're looking at right now. For those of you completely uninitiated, Fallout 4 Season Pass, you're pretty much done with it. The last DLC for the Fallout 4 game is going to be Nuka World, and after that, no more. Here's the thing. I feel a certain amount of relief, and I'm happy about that to a certain extent. Because that means that they're going to take what they've learned here, and Todd Howard pretty much came up and admitted that that he made a mistake, well, not he specifically, but the developers of Fallout made a mistake, and that the dialogue system is bad, the voice protagonist, he was a bit more ambiguous on that front, but I believe that they realise in retrospect that the voice protagonist was a mistake, and that they're not going to do it, and they realise that the Fallout 4 RPG elements, or rather the lack thereof, really impacted their game badly, despite the game selling remarkably well, and receiving relatively good reviews from major game journalists and websites and stuff like that. So, despite all this, they did listen to their most loyal fan base, they did listen to the people that make mods for their games, that play with those mods, that test those mods, that the people that tend to replay their games over and over again, like their most hardcore and loyal fan base. They did listen to them, and they're willing to improve based on what they've learned, and I'm really happy about that. But there is a interesting twist and dynamic to that. The Season Pass, people bought the Season Pass, right? People bought Fallout 4, and a certain amount of them were very disappointed by the game. Now, I have people on my channel, as well as all over the internet, but specifically on my channel, that militarily, almost, fanatically defend Fallout 4. And that's fine, but you can't sort of help but wonder how the guys that bought the Season Pass feel. Here's the thing, if you compare the DLCs for Fallout 4 to the DLCs released for New Vegas, Fallout 3, and for Skyrim, Fallout 4 is pathetic. It really, I'm sorry to use that word, I really am, but it is. If you compare the DLCs to previous games, it's really not good. What did Skyrim have? It had a bunch of new content added into the game. It had a new map added into the game. It had... Yes, you did have to pay a decent amount of money for it. Fine. But the Fallout 4 DLCs are not exactly free either, and all they added was... Okay, the Mechanists and the Automatron DLC was good. Far Harbor I have yet to play, but those are the only two massive ones that are like really huge DLCs that add content, and Nuka World's going to be the third one, and that's it? Really? Underwhelming. Underwhelming, in terms of value for the money, in terms of the Season Pass. Or even how the guys that bought all the DLC up until this point feel. Bethesda, I think they realized from the start, or from the very first few weeks of Fallout 4, just how much of a screw-up they did in certain elements of the game. It's not a bad game. Do not get this out of... do not assume that I'm saying that. It is not. Fallout 4 is a great game, but it really, really, really lacks in certain areas, and I think Bethesda realized that from the start. And there's really... people blame them for not trying to improve it. There's really not a lot Bethesda could do, realistically. Unfortunately, and they didn't really try. The DLCs were basically... What do we get? We get Fallout, Automatron, certain minor DLCs here and there, and that's about it, right? Underwhelming, really, and disappointing. Especially for people that bought the Season Pass. It really is. You bought an entire season pass for a couple of DLCs that really... Is it worth it? I mean, there's just a general sign of disappointment all across the board over the internet regarding the no more DLC for Fallout 4 announcement. And whilst, again, I say from one side of the story, this is a good thing, somewhat, because they will now focus on new projects. Elder Scrolls 6, which I'll talk about what I hope to see in Elder Scrolls 6 and stuff like that, but they'll focus on that, but that means that this game is rather disappointing. Yeah, I can't think of any other word. And as unfortunate as that is, it simply is the case, right? Now, what is going to be happening in the future? Well, we don't quite know, but I believe that they're going to get straight to work on the Elder Scrolls 6. In fact, I'm fairly confident. Why? Here's the thing. They're not going to wait for much longer. They really are. They're running out of time in a business and development standpoint. Skyrim, or that's the Elder Scrolls 5, came out in 2011. We are now in 2016. That's a lot of time, isn't it? It took them... it does take, between like Skyrim games, a lot of time does pass, I'll give you that, but they're not going to wait another 2 or 3 years to develop Skyrim. That's just not going to happen, trust me. Now, a Fallout game, you're going to need to wait a very long time. Well, yeah, it depends on what you define as a very long time, but you're going to need to wait a pretty long time for Fallout 5, I suppose that would be, if they even call it Fallout 5. But for the next Fallout game, you're going to need to wait a very long time. Which is unfortunate, but at least we do have the Elder Scrolls 6 to... I nearly said Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls 6 to look forward to. Speaking of which, what do I hope to see in the future from not just the Elder Scrolls, but from Bethesda titles as a whole? Well, as I said, they realized the mistakes that they made in Fallout 4. They realized that they kind of screwed up. And provided they fix that, I am very optimistic about the future of Bethesda and all their titles. Something interesting to point out is that at E3 2015, which a lot of people seem to sort of forget about this, the developers of Fallout 4 at the time said that the next game they are going to make after Fallout 4 and its DLC, they can't say anything for sure. At the time, this is what they said. They can't say anything for sure, but it probably won't be the Elder Scrolls 6. If they can, they would much rather squeeze in a new title, a brand new IP. Huh. Now, at the time, they also said that Elder Scrolls 6 will not be coming out for a very long time or something like that. They used strange wording, which didn't exactly make a lot of sense at the time, but it was 2015, and the first gameplay footage of Fallout 4 was shown. So, again, depending on what you define as a long time, some would say, has passed. Fallout 4 has ended completely, or, will end soon completely. There'll be no more content for that game. And they're not just gonna sit around in their offices doing nothing. They're gonna make something, right? Is it gonna be the Elder Scrolls 6? I hope so. I really do hope so. But unfortunately, thus far, we can only assume and speculate, as they didn't really give us a lot to go with. Essentially, I can't wait for the release date to be announced for the Elder Scrolls 6, but it's way too early to be hyped about that game. Regardless, though, I would like to talk to you guys about what I would change for the next Fallout game and for the next Elder Scrolls game, because they're both RPGs. There's gonna be some similarity between the two always. So, first of all, the RPG element. The lack thereof in Fallout really hurt that game, and there's just no excuse. They have to do a better RPG game. If they do it in the same sort of style and the same way that they did Skyrim, I'll be fine with that as well. Just as long as I can make several different characters, have them feel different, which I couldn't do in Fallout 4. I'll digress here for a second. I made a paragon of virtue and just the lowest scum possible in Fallout 4, and they felt exactly the same. Speaking of which, the scum I'm still playing with. It's if you want to, you can check my my channel for that playlist. It's called Fallout 4 Survival Difficulty Ghoul Cannibal playthrough, and I have like some 25 or 6 episodes of that. You can check it out if you want to. But shameless self advertisement aside, they just felt the same, and they really cannot have that be the case in the next game as well. So that's a no-no. What I would like, however, is for them to blow me away from a graphical perspective. It's a thing of legacy, really, isn't it? Skyrim was incredibly impressive graphically for the time. You look at it today and you'll be like, really, was I impressed by that much? Well, if you think about it, when the original Quake came out, most of you probably weren't even born then, but statistically speaking, like, the average age of the viewer, yeah, regardless. Statistically speaking, most of you probably even weren't, try again, English. Most of you probably weren't even born back then, but it was mind-blowing. I think the Quake was the first real 3D game, wasn't it? Yes, I'm going to go on a nostalgia trip in the middle of the video. Yeah, because Wolfenstein was 3D, but it used bitmaps. So, as you would walk around a corpse of an enemy, his picture would sort of turn as you would turn. It wasn't real 3D. But I believe the original Quake was the first real 3D game. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. And I could be wrong about that, but besides the point, at the time it was fascinating. Right? Look at that, real 3D, you can walk around this dog or bull or whatever, is a demon something. You can walk around it, it's actually there, like it's 3D, whoa! Today, that's you were impressed by this? What? You almost can't believe it, I assume, that at one point this was impressive, but, you know, besides the point, I would really like for them to develop a new engine that I nearly said Skyrim, God, that the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to run off of, and I would like that to be incredibly graphically impressive. You know, you'll know that when the God Rays and the first EMBs came out for Skyrim, that was incredible, right? Well, look at that, look at the colour and all that. Oh God, the door, unprofessionalism sorted. God, that was loud. I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna sort that out in post-processing. Anyways, that was incredibly impressive at the time when it came out. Like the MBs and the texture overhauls and all that 4K textures in the roads and stuff is like whoa. And even with all that, you look at it today and it looks good. Don't get me wrong, it looks really good, but it's not cutting edge anymore, is it? 2016, it doesn't look particularly phenomenal now, does it? No, it really doesn't. So I would like to see that sort of return and be a thing once again, that we see this game and we're like, whoa! And especially it goes hand in hand with it being an open world RPG. It goes hand in hand with that. But what about more specific gameplay elements? What would I like to see? Well, I would like to see questing not really redone, but if you take a look at quests in Skyrim, the difference between your characters was which path in the quest do they take. Personally, I would like a bit more moral decisions and moral depth in the quests in Elder Scrolls 6, which you did get a hint of in Skyrim, but a lot of quests were, you can either give me the ring, or you can give that guy the ring. He'll give you a bow, I'll give you a shield. And some of the quests were like that, some of the quests were there's this terrified Redguard woman, wants to, seems really nice. Do you hand her over to those soldiers, or do you shelter her and risk her actually being a scumlord and a traitor? There's that as well, and there's of course the quest for the Daedras, the quests I guess for different Daedric lords and stuff. That was incredibly good. So will you be a minion of this Daedric lord, or will you try and defy him and stuff like that? That was great. I would like to see quests like that, more depth to those quests, I suppose, and a bit more moral dilemma. Not on all of them, of course. That would be The Witcher, right? We don't want that. Mind you, The Witcher is a great game, but The Witcher is The Witcher. This is the Elder Scrolls. It's different universes entirely, and one shouldn't draw from the other necessarily, but a bit more moral dilemma maybe in them, just a bit. In terms of gameplay, I think this is where most of the changes can happen. If they do make a new engine, or if they decide not to, I think it would be a shame, but even if they don't, I think the weapons and all of that would be great. It would need to be done great, and I think they will do a great job at it. Because, here's the thing, you're swinging this huge greatsword around in Skyrim. It doesn't exactly feel like you're swinging a greatsword, does it? There's no satisfying thump to everything you do, is there? There's just sort of... for the time, again, it was great, but now it seems a bit lackluster. I want more stuff like that, more power behind the weapons, especially the bigger ones, and more detail when you draw your bow and really see the wood, bend and be like, yeah, I would like to see, in specific gameplay terms, stuff like that being implemented more, and it would just make the combat feel a lot more satisfying and a lot more better. I guess the word I'm looking for is right there. More satisfying combat. But a lot of people are also discussing on the internet where the game is going to be stationed and where what region specifically in Tamriel is the game going to be put in, and the general consensus seems to be Redguard is going to be the name of this Elder Scrolls 6 game. Which makes sense. If you think about it, it's kind of very subtly hinted in the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, especially with that Redguard woman quest and the curved swords entire thing. It's a stretch, I will give you that. It's a stretch, but I think it's very subtly hinted there. And I think it makes sense. It really makes sense from a lore perspective and from a what's going on in the world perspective. What will be interesting to see is whether Skyrim will be mentioned and what happens in Skyrim politically speaking. Is the Empire in control? Are the Nords in control? The Stormcloaks in control? I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. It will be interesting to see, of course. But I don't... Here's the thing. Boomy, but I don't particularly care about where the game is going to be in. Here's my reasoning. I have faith in Bethesda, which, yeah, laugh, go ahead, I won't mind. But I have faith that they're going to make a great RPG title based upon what they've learned in Fallout 4 and what they've learned from the previous game, right? So whether they put it in the Empire, whether they put it anywhere, really, wherever they want, I think they're going to make a good game, and I think they're going to do a great job. So I do agree that it probably will be Redguard, and that will be the theme of the entire game. But I don't think that matters way too much to me personally. Again, completely personally, but it is a big and important thing, obviously, to discuss. It's kind of like the one of the most major 2 or 3 things that you want to know about this game as it's getting made. But again, I don't think that people should stress that out too much, that, oh, if it isn't here, it's going to be bad. No, the Tamriel is an incredibly interesting place, and wherever they put it, I think it's going to be great. So I have faith that they're going to pick an interesting location. They never have... Well, some people say New Vegas was put in a very boring location, the desert and all that. I disagree. I know deserts are kind of boring, but this one was as interesting as a desert could be. Right? And they really did try their hardest to make this, by itself, in and of itself, boring place seem very interesting, and they did do it in New Vegas. So, and of course, every other game that they did had a very interesting setting. So I think the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be no different in that regard. Finally, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about competition. Basically what they're saying is Bethesda is going to pay too much attention to what Doom is doing, to what Dishonored 2 is doing, and stuff like that, and that they're gonna try and directly compete with those games. I don't know if you've heard, but Doom is not exactly the best RPG out there. Starting from the fact that it's not an RPG at all, right? I don't know. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think that they're not that type of company. They're not the type of company to compete against games that are not in the same genre as the game that they're making to begin with, despite those being major AAA games. That's like saying Europa Universalis 4 is going to compete with Battlefield 1. No, they have nothing similar between them. Does competition exist there? Not really. Does competition exist between Doom and Fallout 4 and, ultimately Elder Scrolls 6? Yes, to an extent. Both AAA games, both massive titles, and at the end of the day, yes, I'll give you this, a consumer only has a certain amount of money that he's ready to spend on games, and I guess to an extent it is a competition. Ow. Hit my head. Bang my head against the microphone pop filter. Lovely. Ow. Okay. I have amnesia. I completely forgot what I was about to say. Yes, there is competition in that sense, but I don't think they're really going to pay attention too much to that. And well, I hope they don't. Certainly, I have no reason to think they will. But I guess that goes under the segment of what I hope will or will not happen in their future titles as well. And that would be pretty much all. Tell me, what do you think that is going to happen with the new titles coming out from Bethesda? Do you think they're going to make a new IP, as they said they would like back in E3 2015? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Tell me down in the comments below. But for now, that would be pretty much everything. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel. You can check out my Fallout 4 content as well. I have, as I said, a playthrough of a survival difficulty You're Cannibal. I'm doing Stellaris starting tomorrow, I believe. And yeah, that would be pretty much everything. Until next time, take care, and bye-bye.
Oh.